You have learned that internal fertilization in sexual reproduction takes place when sperm fuses with the ovum inside a woman's body. Do you know where fertilization takes place? Fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube of a woman's body. This is where the zygote is formed and later develops into a fetus. The reproductive organs in both men and women have their own special functions to ensure reproduction. However, there are some people who have reproductive organs that do not function. In this unit, you are going to learn about sterility. Important. In a woman's body, fertilization only happens when the fusion between the sperm and ovum takes place. Observe what happens when the sperm enters the vagina. Did fertilization take place? Why do you think so? Fertilization cannot take place because the fallopian tube is blocked and the sperm could not get to the ovum. When a woman's fallopian tube is blocked, the sperm cannot fuse with the ovum and fertilization does not take place. When fertilization does not happen, the woman is unable to produce children. The inability to produce children is known as sterility or infertility, and people with this problem is said to be sterile or infertile. Since the fallopian tube is the essential place for fertilization, blocked fallopian tube is one of the factors of sterility in women. Another common cause of infertility in women is the inability to ovulate. Fertilization only happens when there is a fusion between the sperm and the ovum. When a woman has problems ovulating, then there is no ovum for the sperm to fuse with. The inability to ovulate can be due to hormone imbalance. Many people think that sterility is a problem faced only by women. However, sterility or infertility can affect both men and women. One of the common factors of sterility in men is low sperm count. If too few sperms are released, the chances of the sperm reaching the ovum are very small. Without sperm, fertilization cannot take place. Low sperm count could be due to a man's physical health or hormone imbalance. Another problem that sterile men may face is blocked sperm ducts. When a sperm duct is blocked, the number of sperms released will be too few or almost none at all. So the chances of fertilization will be reduced. We have seen some of the causes for sterility in men and women. Today, research has made it possible to help people overcome these problems. Click on each problem to see the solution offered. We can have surgeries to remove the blockage of both the fallopian tubes and the sperm ducts. For men with low sperm count, doctors recommend artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization. Injecting the correct hormones into the woman will make the ovaries release the eggs into the fallopian tube. Apart from the injecting of hormones and surgery to clear blockage, researchers have come up with assisted reproductive technologies ART, to help sterile parents reproduce. One of the most commonly talked about procedure is IVF, or in vitro fertilization. The IVF procedure starts with the women taking medication to stimulate multiple ovum release. Doctors extract sperms from the man and some mature ova or eggs from the woman. The sperm and ova are placed together in a culture dish for fertilization. The embryo is cultured for 2 to 3 days and then transferred to the uterus via the cervix. However, the success rates of reproductive technologies are affected by many reasons, including the age of the woman and the cause of the infertility. Complete the following table. Drag and drop the suitable treatments to match the causes of sterility. Remember that there may be more than one suitable method of treatment. The diagram shows the reproductive organs of in the fallopian tube. Sterility is the inability to produce children. There are several ways to overcome sterility. Depending on the cause of sterility, we can use surgery to clear blockages in the fallopian tubes and sperm ducts, injection of hormones to help in the production of ovum, and assisted reproductive technologies like in vitro fertilization, IVF. This couple has 4 children over the period of 3 years. They have asked an officer from the family planning unit for advice about having another child. If you are the officer, what advice would you give them? The family planning unit is a unit that advises parents on birth control and family planning. If the couple has too many children and is not able to support the family, then they would be advised to practice birth control. Birth control prevents pregnancies. Birth control methods can be temporary or permanent. The temporary method can be divided into natural, chemical, and physical methods. These methods are for people who do not want to have children for a period of time only. The permanent method of birth control is for people who do not want to reproduce anymore. This involves surgery. One of the earliest methods of birth control is the natural way. The natural way of birth control is by using the rhythm method. The couple avoids sexual intercourse during the fertile phase of the woman's menstrual cycle. Only during the fertile phase a woman can get pregnant. However, this method may not work because women can miscalculate their fertile phase. Since natural way may not work, some women prefer the chemical method of birth control. They take birth control pills which can stop ovulation from taking place. These pills contain hormones that can stop the production of ova or eggs. Another chemical method of birth control that women can use is by applying spermicides. Spermicides are chemicals that kill sperms. Spermicides are applied at the woman's vagina before intercourse. Spermicides will block or kill the sperm before they can enter the uterus. If the other two methods of birth control are only suitable for women, the physical method is for both men and women. The most common physical methods used are condoms by men and diaphragms and IUCD by women. Condoms and diaphragms physically stop sperms from reaching the ovum, and the IUCD, or intrauterine contraceptive device, is used to stop implantation. For couples who do not want to have children anymore, they can use the permanent method of birth control. The permanent method involves surgery. Surgery done on men is known as vasectomy. In the process of vasectomy, sperm ducts are cut and tied so that the sperms cannot flow to the urethra. The process of ligation is done upon women. In this process, the fallopian tubes are cut and tied so that the ovum produced cannot be fertilized. Teenagers in the US and UK use birth control when they are still in school. Get into two groups and debate on whether or not it is appropriate for teenagers like you to use birth control. Click on the correct answer. Name two methods of. Click on permanent. The temporary methods can be divided into natural, chemical, and physical ways. The natural way is through the rhythm method. The chemical way is through the use of birth control pills and spermicides. And the physical method is by using condoms, diaphragms, and IUCD. The permanent method is through surgery, vasectomy for men, and ligation for women. This is the result of a global survey for the year 2004. More than 350,000 participants from 41 countries took part in this survey. Observe the data. How is this data related to the birth control devices that are freely available? Discuss your views with your friends and write down the pros and cons of birth control in your group. Even though birth control is meant for married couples, many unmarried people use birth control to avoid getting pregnant. From the global survey, you can see the increasing number of people having premarital sex, sexual intercourse before marriage, and sex with different partners. These are some of the factors due to the abuse of birth control, which has led to an increase in sexually transmitted diseases such as syphilis, gonorrhea, and AIDS. Even the using of birth control cannot guarantee a person to be safe from these diseases. Many women take birth control pills. At present, even teenage girls are taking birth control pills to prevent unwanted pregnancies. While birth control pills can prevent pregnancies, taking too much of the pills can cause menstrual abnormalities and even sterility. Married couples practice birth control to plan their family. However, Nowadays, many are choosing to have children later in life and stop at only 1 or 2 children. This affects the balance of society, where there are more old people in the population. This is known as a graying population, and it usually strains the economic resources of the country. The abuse of birth control can lead to a number of negative issues. However, birth control has also benefited many people. The introduction of birth control is one of the many benefits that come from the research on human reproduction. Another important discovery of this research is the fertility treatments. Research in this field has helped many to conceive through methods like in vitro fertilization, IVF, hormonal injections, and new surgical methods. It is important to carry on with the researchers on reproduction for new discoveries. Drag and drop the labels to complete the concept map. Discuss other examples that you have learned or read about. Which of the following are the efficiencies in menstrual? Abuse of birth control can lead to the increase in premarital sex, multiple sexual partners, sexually transmitted diseases, menstrual abnormalities, and sterility. Research on human reproduction is important because it introduced birth control methods to help couples in family planning and discovered fertility treatments to help sterile couples. Which of the following causes the method? Three other methods. Study the table. In vitro, click on one of the which of the following. Click on one of the questions to see what is sterility. Sterility is the inability to produce children. How do we overcome sterility? We can overcome sterility by having surgery to remove blockage in the fallopian tubes and sperm ducts, injecting hormones to help release the eggs from a woman's ovaries, or by going through in vitro fertilization. What are the methods of birth control? There are two main methods of birth control, temporary and permanent. The temporary methods can be divided to natural, chemical, and physical ways. The natural way is through the rhythm method. The chemical way is through the use of birth control pills and spermicides. And the physical method is by using condoms, diaphragms, and IUCD. The permanent method is through surgery, vasectomy for men, and ligation for women. Why should we not abuse birth control? What are its effects on the community? Abuse of birth control can lead to the increase in premarital sex, multiple sexual partners, and sexually transmitted diseases. Abuse of birth control pills can cause menstrual abnormalities and sterility. Why is research on human reproduction important? Research on human reproduction has helped couples to plan when to have children and how many to have. Couples who are sterile can now be treated with methods such as IVF, hormonal injections, and surgery. In vitro fertilization, IVF, is one of the assisted reproductive technology ART procedures. Other procedures include ZIFT or zygote intrafallopian transfer and GIFT, gametic intrafallopian transfer. IVF and ZIFT are similar as both are fertilized in vitro. In IVF, the embryo is implanted implanted after several days, whereas in ZIFT, the zygote is immediately transferred into the fallopian tubes. In GIFT, the ova are not fertilized in vitro. The ova and sperms are placed in the fallopian tubes to be fertilized. Discuss how doctors decide when IVF, GIFT, or ZIFT should be used to treat sterility. Study the table. Contraceptive is another term that means birth control. You have already learned some of the birth control methods in the table. Look out for the ones you do not know and find out more about them. Present to your class.